Good afternoon. This is Shushovan Mukherjee from Prime Infosat. So we are about to start. We are sharp at 4 o'clock. Kanchan, you are here? Kanchan, are you there? Kanchan, you are able to hear me? Shushovan this side?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Sure. We are at 4 o'clock. So we are starting off. I'll give a small introduction and hand it to you. Warm welcome to
Sure.
once again. As you are, many of you are already attending our webinar series for around 2 weeks. So today's session is our session in the webinar series. Uh, Once we are into a pandemic situation where we are forced to work from home, a lockdown kind of state, so we at Prime Infosat thought what new can be done. So then we thought in this new normal kind of situation, there are many changes in terms of business continuity, in terms of new technology adoption. Why don't we learn together along with our friends, along with our community, our customers, our partner? So some kind of knowledge sharing kind of sessions, we can jointly learn what all new things can be adopted for to sustain in the new normal situations. In that perspective, we did around 11 sessions already, where we have talked about business continuity, endpoint protection to cloud, cloud security, mobile device management, virtual desktop, and many other things. This series, today's session will be conducted by Trend Micro. Kanchan is here with us. He is the regional head for Trend Micro, Eastern region, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan. And apart from me having a long relationship, he is having 20 years kind of experience in this domain. And Kanchan, interestingly, today only Facebook was reminding me, 2015, the same day you, me, and Ajay traveled together to Bangladesh, and 16th April, where we have conducted cybersecurity seminar under the banner of InfoSec Foundation, 2015. That is interesting. Facebook knows almost everything. So anyway, from here, I'll hand it over to Kanchan to take this forward. Let us write the journey together.
Thank you, Shushabanda. Thanks for a nice introduction, and I am thankful to Prime for giving me this opportunity to talk on today's topic. Uh, well, it's good that Facebook has reminded us our journey to this consortium that we have built up. The friends, as well as different kind of people, human beings are here, whom we are interacting day by day to day with our customers, with our partners, everyone. So in today's session, we are going to understand and we are going to hear out some stories that that's happening around us. In fact, this kind of situations everybody is facing for the first time, either as a customer, as a buyer, as a seller, as an OEM. So this situation is completely new for us, and we have to accustomed with this situation. We are fighting with the situation, staying at home, doing virtual meetings as you cannot see me, but you can feel me, and you can understand the discussions, uh, the story that we are going to talk about. Well, if you see that the story starts with the digital transformation, and if you see that the digital transformation has already begun for last couple of years, we have seen there is a huge growth in the digital transformation, starting from banking sector to your government to PSUs to education, whatever you say, the digital transformation has taken place. Well, if you see, the financial services are now predominantly dominated by your mobile and blockchain, big data, and all. Of course, we have moved into the 1 trillion market by 2019, starting the mobile payments. In the retail sector, we have seen that very soon it will be out of malls, and people will be more into IoTs and augmented reality. This most impacted one, and we will see that a lot of diagnoses and treatment will be happening through digitally enabled tools. Again, the manufacturing industry, if you want to see, there is a huge growth in terms of automation, robotics, and AI. So once this is coming, the human interferences are going to go away, and it can reduce the plant outages by 50%. So the digital transformations, at one side it is happening, the other side of the domain, what we have to see is the cybersecurity part. These are the areas which are at growth and which are the most focused area at this point of time. People are talking about cloud. People are talking about big data. People are talking about AI, both on the threat perspective as well as on the security perspective. Of course, IoT is no more ignored. This is again going to be a part of our discussion today and going to be a part of a cybersecurity. Automation, yes, that's one of the important area. The areas like SCADA, PLCs, and anything related to the production of any organizations are going to be very, very important over there. We have seen certain data and we have analyzed. We have seen by 2019, around 73% of the organizations had hit at least once. So there is a record that there is a data breach happened. 21% has hit more than seven. So, and in total, we have seen around top two risk issues are happening in the organizational misalignment. That means due to the increase in the complexity of different services, of different environments, different infrastructures coming up, cloud, on-premise, as well as hybrid environment, we have seen the increase of risks because of your organizational misalignment or misconfigurations are at huge stake. And lastly, when I talk about when we see everything from a cybersecurity perspective, the visibility is the most important part, and there we are lacking. So if we see that what is our journey is also for a safer exchange of this digital information. That is our mission. That is the mission of our entire uh, organization. What we are looking for our customers and for our partners, for our resellers, and entire ecosystem. These are certain features, certain aspects that we are actually looking into it. We are ready for this kind of transformation. And once the transformations are happening, how fast we can rapidly recover from any kind of disasters that is actually impacting all these things. Few customers who have shown interest they came up with us and they have created a story with us. One such customer is Northeast Georgia Health System. You can go to our site, you can see that how the customers are talking about these rapid changes. What is the visibility that they are getting with this rapid change? How they can visualize a 0 day. We are talking about 0 day, but whether they can visualize or not in this complex environment. And again, once you visualize anything, you take action on that. But what the entire journey is, what is the reporting pattern of the entire thing? If we can get a consolidated report, that's nothing, but we can actually see it like the way we are prescribing medicines, the way we are taking reports for the entire disease. Similar way in the cybersecurity domain, the same thing can be on the reporting basis, and it can be educated and aware to the entire organization. So one such example or one such case history has been done by one of the biggest health systems in Northeast Georgia. Uh, if you see a typical infrastructure, this is in front of you, typical infrastructure where you can see the people who are accessing the network, who are sitting inside the office. You have a big building, you have internet, you have servers, you have workloads, everything on. You have a data center on premise. So very soon we will see, once this situation is situation we are overcoming with these situations, we'll see that most of our most of our on-premise environment is moving gradually to cloud, and it has to happen. You can see that right now sitting at home, we are thinking about the data center which are there in different geographic locations, how we are going to access it, how we are going to physically present over there when there is a disaster, how we are going to recover our backups, the fast recovery, the fast detection. All these things sitting at home will be a challenge, is going to be a challenge. So the rapid growth of cloud, we are going to find out very soon. We are going to see very soon. But it will not be a single cloud environment. You see, there will be a growth of multi-cloud. We will see there are Azure, AWS, vCloud, and there are a lot of other platforms which are built on cloud will be coming up because more and more native applications we have to keep it over there. So as this will move, similarly, the most of our services will also move from on-prem to the cloud. And our users, they will be more on the mobiles. So can access from their iPads, from their mobile. So it will be on the move. Anything can be accessed on the move. So once that is happening, we have to extend our network as well as operational technologies also on the cloud. So the robustness, the best practices follow up, and everything should be the constraint which is going to come. So once the cloud migration is happening, as you see, and it is not a single day work, it's not a one day work, it's a journey. So it will take time. It will be in course of time, maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, based on the type of the production. So based on the type of the on-premise activities that you do, the on-premise requirements that you have, in order to move to the cloud, it will take some time. So, as per Gartner, if you see, by 2021, over 75% of the mid-size as well as the large organizations will have to adopt the multi-cloud, or in short, the hybrid IT strategy. That means they will not move the entire thing to cloud. It's not possible also, but few things will be there on the on-premise also. Hence, we are actually talking about hybrid cloud architecture. So in the hybrid cloud architecture, we will see on the cloud, it will not be servers or VMs. It will be, we will call it as a workloads. And we have to keep on increasing the workloads based on our work, based on our requirement. So once the migration is happening, at the same time, the IT operational teams or the cloud ops teams will be facing certain challenges, which I am discussing right now. Say, for example, once it is hybrid or multi-cloud, definitely the manageability will be an issue. Same, the second and foremost thing is the security processes. There are multiple security processes, which will be for on premise and which will be for on cloud. I mean, segmentations of those security processes are again going to be very, very important. Again, the Windows relevance part, the compatibility issues with the operating systems, the patching and unpatching of the operating systems is going to is going to be important for us. Performance related issue, we have seen in most of the cases, even the things are on-prem, we are facing a lot of performance issues. It is because of high productivity, low security, or sometimes high security and low productivity. And there is a compatibility is required between the security and productivity. And lastly, the central visibility is very, very important, which was lacking, which we have seen. The lack of central visibility is the biggest thing. So how to overcome this? That was one of the challenges we have seen. And we'll see the threats which are already there on premise. Like most of the threats coming because of the unpatched OS. Similarly, on the workload environment, we'll see the ransomwares are happening. We'll see more and more ransomwares are happening. If you can see right now at this point of time, when people are outside their network, outside their offices, outside their data centers, working from home, the impact of ransomware has increased at a higher speed, and we have seen it in couple of areas. So command and control communications, which are authenticated or not authenticated, are very, very important. Again, the workloads that you are actually keeping on the cloud, whether they are patched or not patched. So these security gaps are very, very important to look out. Now, once everything is
Man,
moving to cloud, definitely the applications are also
what is
going
it?
to, I mean, all native applications related to our work environment is going to be very, very important. As you have seen, the development of applications has grown up in a tremendous rate. More and more apps are coming, and hence there is a huge increase in the DevOps side. So once the according to Gartner again by
কালকের সেশন হবে
2022, 90% of the software development projects will be claimed by our DevOps. It will be a pure DevOps practices it has to follow. And we have seen by 2019, already 40% has adopted it. So this is the Gartner's report. So in that case, once the DevOps teams will be doing their work, who are going to analyze, who are going to actually see the security loopholes inside the DevOps CI/CD pipeline? Who are going to analyze those security delays? And people think, and the DevOps people think, when they are developing something, they will not allow the security team to visualize because they think once the security team is coming, it will create delays in their development. Again, too many tools will be are used. If you see Kubernetes, you see Java, a lot of things are being used as a tool to develop. So usages of those tools, and then from where they are bringing those tools are again a question mark. In fact, usages of Linux are going to increase, and open source, if you see. So, how are you going to tackle these particular issues when actually the cloud native applications are being hosted? We will see once that is there, again, the loopholes, the bigger loopholes. Now, you have seen that the developers are keeping their images in the containers and Dockers. So, actually, when they're keeping it in the containers and Dockers, is there any mechanism by which the vulnerabilities can be scanned or can be detected? The code level vulnerabilities which actually are very, very important, and where the developers are actually keeping their codes are also important to notice. Again, in the cloud we'll see there are third parties and third party vulnerabilities specifically on the containers where the images they're going to keep. In the serverless platforms, as we have seen that function as a service, as we have moved from container to serverless platform, we'll see function as a service or backend as a services are increasing, where we have a serverless computing thing. Obviously, SQL injections are going to happen. So not only SQL injections, anything related to the database or a serverless attacks, we will be able to see. Malicious file uploads. Of course, we have seen that many people are keeping their files on the third-party clouds, the Google Cloud kind of stuff. So those storages, who are going to take care of those storages? The scanning part, the detection part, and the visibility part of it is going to be a bigger challenge. The third aspect is the cloud operational excellence. Now, if you see, this is one of the major area, and you have to pay attention over here. That by 2023, 99% of the cloud security failure is because of the customer's fault. So as we have seen, the more and more complex environments are coming up, hybrid architecture or hybrid IT security has to be followed. So many teams are going to work. So definitely there will be some kind of confusions. And as a result of that, the misconfigurations are going to happen. And because of these misconfigurations, there will be a huge security gaps. As I said, the cloud centers and excellence team, they will be facing these cloud services. Who will be the owner of each and every services has to be found out. The learning curve in each and every domain is going to be important. The configuration part depends on that. The teams who will be working on the cloud
Kanchan,
service.
I'll just interrupt.
Yeah,
Maybe some microphone, some issue is happening. Sometimes it is distorting. If you can put the jack little
mine,
time. Yeah, your side.
my side.
Yeah,
Now is it clear?
little better. Fair enough. You can
Can
continue.
you? Okay. Yeah. So once you will see that uh, these cloud services, I mean the services team has to be managed properly. That who will be owning what kind of work, and again, what we are going to stress is the lack of visibility. So the visibility has to be there, and once the visibility is there, in order to have a smooth functioning, the compliance will play a big role. So in the cloud operational excellence, as we have seen, there are a lot of challenges. This misconfiguration of the cloud templates. We'll see a lot of open internet allowed over there in many places. And then repository of the data is again a big issue. So we'll see that once things are coming up, the security has to play a big role. So as more and more workloads will increase, the security, the workload security, the feature like virtual patching, that even if you have a unpatched OS and you are moving it to the cloud, the technology like virtual patching has to be there. So workload security has to be taken care, and the same security which is there on premise should be interoperable to the cloud also. Hence, a single license, if a person is buying a single license and a single agent and a single solution on premise, the same solution should be capable of handling your cloud as well without changing anything. And the workload security is again going to play a big role because these are the workloads where actually it may happen that people are going to keep a lot of applications related to their production or ERP. As I said, the network challenges or the network operational challenges will come up. Definitely, when there is a data exchange between on-prem and cloud, the network security has to be very robust. So the uh, the packet inspections between the cloud as well as on-premise and on-premise to cloud anywhere, it has to be smoothen enough. The technology that you are going to use has to be uh, granular, has to be layered. Second thing is we were talking about container. Hence, we should have a proper container-based security. Lastly, the application security, as we said, the serverless platform, what are the applications that we are going to work with has to be secured. Of course, the file storage, as I already mentioned, the thread, the file storage security has to be there. And lastly, the most important part is the configuration part. So the conformity actually takes care of your entire configuration related issues as well as the compliance related part. This entire snapshot gives you an idea that whenever you are moving to a cloud, your smooth transformation of your data from your on-premise to cloud should be taken care of by these all securities, starting from your DevOps to your workload, to your containers, to your serverless computing, to your file storage system, to your network part, as well as conformity, that is the compliance. So, in one shot, we can see that these are the predominant areas where we are going to see a lot of changes happening very soon. One small note, that is, people think that their ERP is safe. In fact, we have certain data with us where SAP has already been compromised. ERP compromises happening at a larger stage. And we have seen a lot of cons of SAP is happening. So we have uh, we have a tight integration with the SAP systems where we can show them, we can actually detect any kind of threat related to SAP, and we can also mitigate the risk based on the ERP. Well, that was the first part of it where we have talked about the hybrid cloud security, and you can see certain credentials that we are having. I will not get into the credentials. I mean, these are Gartner, Forrester credentials, which we have already. One of the biggest credentials that we have got from IDC is we have a 35.5% market share on the hybrid cloud security model. Uh, Moving on to the next part, we have seen that most of the customers are moving towards the SaaS-based environment, and this is Blackboard is one of the customer who has moved to our SaaS-based cloud solution using a PCI compliance. As per him, a one-click management and security is very very important. So he believed on this particular aspect, and based on this particular test case, the second part will come up and will showcase you that how the infrastructure on cloud is moving on the user protection part. Let's see. So this is the same infrastructure what
Yeah,
we are referring
Kanchan,
earlier.
I'll interrupt once again.
Yes.
Audience is also saying audio is becoming little jittery. I don't know. It is a microphone issue. You are talking through a headphone or something,
Yeah, I'm using a headphone.
but still it is jittery. I was thinking it is the mic. It is also saying flickering, and it is little jittery.
Just hold on. Maybe because of fan. Let me switch off the fan.
So Shobhan, I am getting the voice loud and clear.
No jitter, your end? You are saying
Not,
in
no,
the
not
chat
at all.
also.
But there are a lot of people who switched on their videos. They might be, can you request them to please switch off their videos? That is unnecessarily consuming the bandwidth.
Yeah, so
Come
I
across.
stopped the
Uh,
video, a lot of people. Still, I'll request the people who have joined in, please stop your video and also unmute yourself so that this disturbance we can avoid. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me properly? I switched on the fan also.
Yeah.
Is it
Sriram, is it okay?
clear now?
Sriram, you said there is a problem. Is it okay?
Yeah, there are two gentlemen, Mahesh and Saurav. Can you please request them to switch off their videos? You don't need to see them. You were coming there for the presentation.
Shourav, I tried to stop your video. If you can also stop your side. Yeah, it is stopped.
Yeah. Mr. Amit Kumar, please switch off your video.
Mr. Amit
I
Kumar.
mean, you're disturbing others. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So let's try now. Kanchan, please go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah. 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 No problem. Sorry. I mean, yeah. Yes. Okay. Now is it clear? Now is it clear? Now is it clear? I'm keeping away. I'm keeping away. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, sorry for the disturbances. It's all technology after all, and we are bound by that. Uh, so, I have a little bit given an idea about the hybrid cloud environment and how the transformation is actually taking place. Let's move to the next part of it. We'll stitch upon a story once we finish every part. There are three parts actually. First part is the hybrid cloud. The second part, we are moving on the user protection part, and that is very important part. Now, if you see the Gartner, these are all the Gartner stories what I am going to talk to you. The Gartner has come up with another data that by 2021, he is expecting that 70% of the public and private companies, they will be on the cloud email service. And this is very important. And let me tell you, many of the companies in India, not only in India, in many places in eastern part of India, have seen that they have already moved to cloud. Again, another data, 2025, the cloud delivered endpoint protection solutions will grow from 20%, and there will be a total of 95%. And it's almost the uh, entire group gamut of customers are moving to cloud, specifically from the endpoint protection. Now, let me tell you that the story behind it. The story is to none of the customers wants any headache, because there are, I mean, if the customer is trying to own, because these are the major areas where the users are getting impacted, either it is the endpoint or it is a mail. Even if you stop your internet, you cannot stop your mail for your users. So the mails are more and more important, and we have seen about 94% of the compromise is happening from mail. So that is going to be very vital. Even if you are purchasing a mail from your Office 365 or a G Suite kind of stuff, still people are concerned about security, because these people are not a security vendor. So they have a separate security plans altogether, and how they are actually mitigating the specific risks of the customers are again a concern. Similarly, on the endpoint protections, as people are moving their entire infrastructure, the server part actually on the cloud, they want the entire things starting from the patches, release of the patches at a certain time interval, and then pushing the patches, and there will be a proper compliance, and there will be a proper best practices. These are all should be the task of the OEMs, whom they are purchasing it, from where they are purchasing it. Because as per the SaaS, the entire thing is based on SLA. So this is why we have seen there is a huge growth of cloud movement in this particular area. So once that is actually happening, I mean, if the movement is there, obviously there will be challenge. And the biggest challenge that I mean, the customers, specifically the IT operational teams, are facing is the ransomware protection. So there are standards, there are technologies, there are baselines and guidelines being formulated by the companies vis-a-vis how they are going to have a data protection for their particular organization. That has to be actually the similar kind of thing should be there from the vendor end also. So there is a big confusion over there. That's one of the companies saying we have this approach to protect your ransomware. Another company is saying we have this approach to protect your ransomware. So there lies the proper consultant's job to make them aware that what is suitable and what is a long-term plan. Similarly, if somebody is getting a ransomware hit also, and if their entire is getting distorted, so how fast they can re-image, that is also becoming a challenge, because taking a proper backup and then restoring the backup in between, the production has to be up. So all these things are going to be a challenge, are already a challenge for the IT operational team. So this is one of the area of concern, while Gartner has predicted, but the area of concern remains the same. Similarly, as more and more SOC is coming up and more incident response teams are there to handle the incidents, they have to immediately respond to any kind of threats or any kind of alerts that they get. So how fast they can actually detect and respond, that is going to be a bigger challenge. And the visibility which I've been talking in the hybrid cloud environment part, I will also stress over here the visibility of the threat. Unless and until you see what you are going to protect. Most of the organizations we have seen, either they have a UTM or an NGFW, or they have an endpoint. So beyond that, what they can think and what they can visualize is the task of us to go visit, talk to them, and visualize them the actual cyber security threat posture. Now, these, as we have shown certain challenges on the hybrid cloud architecture, we will see certain challenges over here. One of the biggest challenges is the social engineering vulnerability. Now, in my personal opinion, and I have visited many customers and found that I'm giving an example. Say, for example, my CEO has sent a mail to my CFO to immediately release a fund to an ex vendor. He has given the entire bank details and everything to my CFO, and my CEO is not accessible at this point of time. What my CFO will do? In most of the cases, we have found the CFOs are getting into this kind of frauds, and they are trying to they are releasing the funds. This is impacting a lot, and this is one of the social engineering vulnerability that we have seen. What technology are going to use to combat this kind of threats or this kind of social engineering attacks which are happening? So, in fact, this particular kind of attack is called business image compromise, and it is happening in most of the cases, most of the places. The second part of it, antivirus is going to be a fancy product. I mean, whatever antiviruses you use, either it's Symantec, Trend Micro, McAfee, Quickkill, you name it, is going to be a product, a commodity kind of stuff. It's all based on the scanning engine. It's all based on your signatures. That if you have a signature, is going to protect. If you do not have a signature, it's not going to protect. It's going to do a reactive work. So and we have seen there is an increase of fileless attacks. Even if the worst thing that you can do is a formatting a machine, but what will happen if the files are residing in your memory? How many times you are going to? Which are the technologies that can actually take care of your memories, scan the memories, detect it, and remediate it? So that is why we have seen that traditional securities are getting outdated day by day. Again, operating system, Microsoft again and again coming back and saying, I'm going to make the end of product for this particular operating system. So the cycle of the platforms are getting very lower. And as a result of that, the customer cannot migrate to the newer platform. It becomes very hard. So as a result of that, the patching system also goes bad. It's not only for endpoints, it's also for servers. So how well patched is your operating system is very important. Now you see, if there is a phishing mail coming to your cloud or to your on-premise mail server, and from there it is getting infected to your endpoints, to your users, and if the users if that is not properly visualized, how it can travel laterally from one system to the other system is going to be a very very big task of the visualization of the threat. As I was pointing mainly on the visualization aspect. So how you are going to identify from where the threat has come and which all places it has traveled. So in the email security part, when you see the detection of malware, understanding of this kind of social engineering attacks, so we need certain advanced features. It's not the features which will always talk about anti-phishing or anti-spamming or anti-malware, but we need to talk something above that. So social engineering attacks again has to be handled with a writing style analysis. Now this is something different. Say for example, a person X writes a mail. The same mail, when it will be written by Y person, the language, the intention will be different. So intention analysis and writing style DNA is different from each and every individual. So that has to be inculcated as a artificial intelligence in the particular product, and he should be able to aware that this particular person is not should not send this kind of mail because I have not seen him sending such mails for last 1 month or 1 year. So this habit of studying a person by a technology is very very important. So writing style analysis is one of the biggest feature for understanding your social engineering part. On the endpoint detection, if you see the increase of EDR, of course there are a lot of EDR players, but one of the biggest thing is how fast you can detect and how fast you can remediate. If your EDR is working jointly with your antivirus, that is going to actually help the antivirus and the EDR to look after the endpoint protection which are moving to the cloud to detect the correct threat. So accuracy, I mean zero negativity and more on the positivity. If we were to see, we have to move towards EDR. In short, endpoint detection and response is what we call the EDR technology. Now, the task of the EDR is to have a 24 cross 7 monitoring of your entire endpoints, whatever endpoints you have in your network. The task of an EDR is to have a 24 cross 7 view. If it finds any kind of anomaly or any kind of suspicious thing, it has to immediately detect and it has to immediately respond. The response can be, it should take away the system out of your network automatically without the intervention of any ITT or anybody. So EDR does this activity, and not only that, it also does an RC or a root cause analysis. The way I have shown that it goes beyond the endpoint, like from where the threat has come. It has come from a from a mail or from a web or from a network, from where it has arrived and what it has done, and then when it has detected and how it got remediated, the entire life story of that particular threat should be actually identified and should be in the reporting pattern. So that is what the RCA does. Uh, I will just finish up and then I'll ask for some questions. This is what is the user protection. So again and again, I'm trying to say security is not always remediation and protection. The first and foremost mantra of security is what is the detection level, the visibility. So once you have a proper visibility and how better you can visualize and better you can detect is actually where the technology differs, actually where the brands differs, actually where the placements differs, configuration differs. So this is what is the user protection cost. So we have finished the second part. We'll move on to the third and then we will have a question answer round. Let's move to the third part of it. So few credentials as you have seen for Trend Micro. I'm just keeping these slides. For endpoint, for email, we have been there on the leaders for a long time right now. Again, another story on the endpoint aspect. So first and foremost thing is now people are more adhered towards compliance, as I say. So GDPR compliance is one of the biggest compliance that it has to very soon it has to start in India. We have seen in many cases the GDPR compliance is preceding us, is creating a huge noise in the market, and we will see it is happening more and more. It is coming more and more in most of the organizations once we are moving towards cloud. So what customer wants is two things. One is easy to deploy a solution, as easy, and thus it is easy to understand also, easy to visualize also, and performance impact should be lesser. These are the two things that the customer is looking, not the feature part. Some say, for example, if product A will be having a 90 feature and product B will be having 85 features, that doesn't make any difference unless and until the customer finds these are the two things. So again, the third scenario we will move, and the same infrastructure this time. We'll see that another data on the third scenario, where we will see that by 2021, 50% of the workloads, it will be out of network, and it will be mostly on your cloud. We have seen it either on cloud, or there will be a center infrastructure, there will be a co-hosted data center kind of stuff. And 2023 will see that 30% of the industrial enterprises are moving towards IIoT. And this is one of the area of concern, that if we are moving towards IoT, how we are going to manage the IoT infrastructure, and how we are going to secure the IoT infrastructure. We are working on that aspect. That's why I'm showing this. The story will move around cloud and IoT more in this particular segment. This is the data again, which has come from Gartner. Now, once it is happening, again, your network security team and your SOC team will be facing certain challenges. The biggest challenge is the OT network, and in the OT network, again, the visibility. As you do not have a visibility in your IT network, the visibility of OT network is again going to be a challenge. So how you are actually visualizing a particular OT network, how you are understanding the OT network, what is your skill set over there in terms of security, what is the visibility that you are getting, how it is managed from the cloud, what are the deployments on the cloud is again going to be a challenge for the network security. Similarly, and over here also, the SOC team will be having the similar kind of problem what they had in user protection. So the visibility, detection, and response. These are the three things, and these are the three things that again and again happening. So even if you are moving towards cloud and IIoT, this remains the challenge for both the teams. And again, nothing different. Here also you will face the same problem like unpatched OS, or the application vulnerabilities on the cloud deployment, PNC communications on the cloud, and the vulnerability on your OT devices. And because the endpoints are going to access all your cloud or your OT environment or your automation department, it is unprotected. As we see that we are already unprotected in our network. So once those unprotected endpoints are accessing your plants and your automation, it is going to hamper a lot. So yes, you see the OS vulnerability exploits are happening through PNC traffic on your internet to your cloud infrastructure. You have seen the contractors who are coming from outside try to access your OT network using your IT network. Again, so here also the defense part is very, very important. So specialized IPS and IDS, again, I'm stressing on the visibility for your OT network, how fast you can detect that there is a vulnerability in our OT network. So the IPS and the IDS that we are using in the OT network will not be the same IPS that you are in the IT network, because the protocols are different. You will see that Modbus protocol and other protocols are working on your OT network. So similarly, the technology differs over there. Secondly, we have already talked about cloud IPS in the first hybrid cloud infrastructure details. So cloud IPS will also look into the cloud communication with your OT network. So these two should work hand in hand. Similarly, when your network or your users are going to access your OT environment or the cloud via cloud environment, so that there, apart from your IDS and IPS kind of stuff, which will do a packet inspect, you should have a proper network analytics, a proper sandboxing, a proper EDR kind of stuff. A forensics should be present. Your entire best practices related to your IT environment should be followed. So this is the area where we are talking about network defenses, where we have a network analytics in network analytics as a component, where we have a IPS for OT environment, where we have a IPS for the cloud environment, and they should work hand in hand. So this is the third part that we have finished. I mean, these are the three areas. Now let's see, in a typical organization, if we want to club all of them, all these three platforms, what is going to happen? These are certain things, NSS certifications I don't want to touch. Again, another case study that we have worked with Unigel, where we have actually implemented the OT security along with the cloud security. The third part of it, where we are actually now going to see how these three stories are completing and they are handshaking with each other. So whatever we have discussed in a nutshell, if you want to see that these are the areas we have touched upon. These are the risks and vulnerabilities across our multiple environments, be it on a cloud, be it on an endpoint, be it on a old operating systems in your servers, be it on your OT network, be it on your cloud network vulnerabilities. So these are the usual gaps that we have seen from a hybrid cloud environment to your user protection and to your network defense. So if that is going to be there, we'll see that 88% of the organization will increase spending more and more on the detection and response in the next 18 months. Why? Because they want to visualize the gaps across layer. It's not only the layer of endpoint, it may move to the mail, it may move to the network, it may move to your infra, to your VMware, to your cloud, everywhere. So cross-layer visibility gaps has to be analyzed. And for that, the SOC and IR, that is the incident response team, they have to think about the fastest detection and response across the environment. Now, let's take an example that we have an EDR in place. Once the EDR is there, we are getting the forensics, we are getting all kinds of securities, vulnerability protection related to your endpoint. We have a good network through which an clean pipe is there between your branch office to your automation department through your IT. We are having a very good workload security, which is actually giving us a visibility of the workloads and also giving us a visibility of the threats happening over there. All these things, if they are in silos, they are going to send their alerts to the SIEM without any context, because one alert will be coming from one side, another alert will be coming from another side. Now it will generate an incomplete noise inside the SIEM. The SIEM guy or the incident response guy, it will be hard for him to analyze all these alerts coming from different areas. So what will happen? So the story will be like this. If a threat is coming from an email to one of the endpoint, and if that endpoint's credentials are compromised and it goes to the cloud, say for example, any workload or any container or any kind of serverless computing, and it is trying to access all the additional applications or the native applications which are co-hosting in your cloud environment. And from there, if it is going to affect your OT infrastructure, your automation to your OT infrastructure or IT environment, so how you are building the story. And this is the story where actually SOC team wants to analyze the entire story of the threat or the attack or the your hybrid cloud to your network defense area to your cloud infrastructure. The entire analyzing of the entire threat architecture or a threat posture becomes easy for a SOC using an XDR. And this is the story which breaks the silos into one single story. If anybody wants to replicate, say for example, your automation is already being compromised, and now somebody wants to see from where it has come, and he wants to rewind the entire threat posture, he can do it. He can see that this particular threat has traveled from their IT network, it has affected a cloud instance, and from there somebody has tried to access from an endpoint, and that endpoint has actually received that threat from a particular mail, and that mail has come from an outside domain which was not known to us. In this way, he can actually rewind the entire threat posture, threat cycle, and he can read. The story, I mean, lot of products are required at the back end, of course, to actually come to this particular story. But our story, if you see, if we are moving to a particular cloud strategy and moving towards a cloud platform, the story actually completes over here to have a proper understanding of this kind of targeted attack. This is the story which I was trying to say, and these are the pillars. And
জানেন
in
না
order to
জানলে
have
করবে
a
না এখন কি
connectivity
আছে
or a
বিষয়
connected
যখন
threat
করবে না
defense kind of scenario,
কি
because
ব্যাপার
in
কি
today's
টেলি কিছুই
scenario,
আমি জানি না
uh,
হাউ আই ক্যান
every
সাডেনলি
product
আই ক্যান
should talk to each other, or
কি জানি
every
না কি
solution should
ব্যাপার
talk to each other. If there is a gap between a solution to solution integration, then there is a gap in the threat. So what I am trying to say from the beginning is the visibility, is a proper detection and a proper response. The entire story switches
হ্যাঁ
on
তো
this.
সে যদি করা না হয় তাহলে এখন হবে না আগে বলতে হবে এখন
So when you talk
পরে
about products
পরে
at
এখন
the
হবে
end, I mean at the back end, the
তো কি
products are
করবো
like this. The entire product portfolio, I mean, either you use a trend or a non-trend kind of stuff. Of course, we have a lot of case studies over here. You will see that these are the products which actually should be there in your environment to protect your data, your network security part, your information security, or a data security platform. You credentials, I'll just skip over there. So, in short, let me say that why Trend Micro and why we are here. So we have got, I mean, we stress on the people, process, and technology. So our people part, we have got our head offices across the globe. It's a Japanese company basically. We have started our journey in 1988, and this is our strength. So we have started our education university also. We have come up with our degree courses in the global world. Started our education degree in Egypt, one of the Trend Micro University concept we have come up. We are doing a lot of research works across cybersecurity cybersecurity domain. These are the areas where we are actually working, and we are coming out with our uh, threat intelligence architecture. Of course, if you visit a particular site called ZDI, this is one of the key initiative of Trend Micro. If you visit one of the site called ZDI, you will find that we are working on most of the threats which are not yet been declared as a 0 day. So if a threat is declared as a 0 day, that means there is no patch available for a particular threat. That threat is declared as a 0 day. Before that period, also the threat start there. So as our ZDI team, and this is one of the biggest database that we have. As you have seen that we have got this particular database from Tipping Point, one of our previous product, one of the first IPS of the world. They are still using this ZDI.com as a database. So we are getting the undisclosed threats from our ZDI initiatives, and we are trying to feed those ZDI initiatives either to Microsoft or to Adobe or to SAP kind of OEMs. This is one of the key areas where we are working. And one of our trust, I mean, there are several trusted sources whom we are working across the globe, as you can see in front of you. We are working with Europol, we are working with Interpol. So most of the frauds which are happening on a daily basis, and if it is a cyber fraud, you will find Trend Micro as a technology partner over there. This is our technology. So if you see, we use a smart technology over here. It works on a multiple layer. So there are files which are known good, known bad, unknown files. So how we are treating them? Treating those files, and we are actually creating a single file over there, and we are saying either this file is a good file or a bad file. So there are layer-wise approach. One is called a pre-execution machine learning. That on that we will see, looking at the file, we can say the file is good or bad. The second level is the behavioral analysis. The way I said on the writing style DNA. So the behavioral analysis or the runtime machine learning is being added on the second layer, or where after that we are also analyzing those things and sending it to the sandbox. Even uh, after we get the file is a good or a bad, based on that we take an action. Some of the players, some of the OEMs, some of the partners who are associated with us in all these three domains, what we have discussed. This is the 0 day initiative which I was talking, and you see the growth of the ZDI starting from 2005 to 2018. Again, another story. These are the test cases which are available in our site. This is on the how the customer is using our connected thread solution and how they are minimizing the threat. In short about us, these are certain customers who have, whom I mean across the globe we are trying to help them. In India, we have certain customers. So, in short, to break the silos and break the silence over here, we call this as an art of cybersecurity. Because cybersecurity, whatever we have discussed as a story over there, it's not a small thing. It's a game of people, process, and technology. And we have seen the most vulnerable part is the people part. So, lot of training programs, awareness programs. One of the key areas of email security we have started. Let me tell you that on the phishing campaign, we have started a phishing campaign whereby we are giving a customer a phishing insight tool where he can create his own phishing template, create the phishing template, send it to their employees without their knowledge. If if the employees are clicking on those phishing mails, which are sent by their by some of them, so they can visualize that how many employees have clicked it, and based on that they can take remedial actions. They can do the awareness, or they can go for a technology solutions adaptation. So that is one side. In this particular COVID scenario, we have come up with an advisory that how to work from home, as most of the employees are unaware that how to work. Sorry, I'm getting some disturbance. You
Yeah,
can
if you
mute.
can go on mute, please, audience.
So in this COVID situation, as many of the customers are coming back to us, is sir, we are not aware how to handle the situation. Our persons are sitting at home, so it is not only the antivirus part of it, but how to work from a home, how to securely work from a home, how to manage from a home. These are the ideas which are not being taught to us. So if you have certain kind of advisories, if you can share us. So we have shared lot of advisories to a lot of customers. These are all generic, nothing related to Trend Micro, that how to securely work from home. Again, we have as a good gesture, we have given our antiviruses, about 6 months of free antiviruses to most of the organizations, because we feel that many people are also accessing internet now from their personal devices, from their personal mobiles, tabs. So let them use our antivirus for some time and let them be protected. So this is a crisis situation. My overall concept over here is this is a very crisis situation. You have taken your time out over here, listening to me, listening to your small story, whatever I've tried to do. And in this crisis situation, how we are standing hand to hand, helping you as a customer, or coming to you to solve your issues, standing beside you to impart certain kind of awareness, trainings, anything related to your production, where you are not able to access or see or touch, we can take the ownership over there. We can come to your place. I mean, once the situations are done, we are also doing one more important activity called network health checkup. So once you are done with this and you are going back to your offices, what we can do, we can run a health checkup for your organization. This will be again a free of cost activity, whereby you can see that during this last 2 months, 1 month, what had happened, what are the configurations got, any changes is there in the configuration, or anybody has tried to hook up at this point of time, or if you want to see something related to your XDR roadmap that was already done. So there are, in short, there are certain things which can be worked together to create a healthy and a good cybersecurity platform for all of us. This is what, in short, that once we are going back to our normal work, and once the cloud is coming into the place, how the cybersecurity will look, and what are the challenges we will face as a security professional. So open to you. If you have any queries or anything, you can come back to me.
हेलो कंचनदा मल्टी
Yes, sir.
कंचनदा पंकज बोल रहा हूँ मल्टी इज मल्टी क्लाउड एंड हाइब्रिड क्लाउड आर सेम और समथिंग लाइक दैट
Yes, they are the similar terms. Multi-cloud means different cloud platforms, because the Azure will be having a separate cloud platform, a separate architecture. AWS will be having a separate architecture, a separate cloud platform. So similarly, if a different cloud, it's a heterogeneous environment on the cloud. That's called multi-cloud environment. Yeah, it's a similar term. No, see, when I say hybrid means partially on-premise, partially on cloud. So that's hybrid. You were saying on the hybrid cloud. So hybrid is 75% on your cloud and less 25% on premise. So we are taking it as a hybrid architecture. So multi-cloud is different. Multi-cloud means in cloud you have different cloud environments. They are two different terms, not the same term. Sorry.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, Kanchan, there are two queries in the chat box. One is how the analysis of logs generated will be done by Trend Micro, and secondly, someone said if you can provide the link for the advisory you have mentioned.
Okay, so advisory part, what I will try to do, I will share it with Sushobanda. Let Sushobanda lead it and send it to across to all the participants. If you have
Sure,
provided your email, that will be
sure.
done by him. The second part is the log analysis. Yes. So honestly speaking, it will not be an easy task to analyze the log immediately. So if you go, as I said, if you do a network health checkup, we can actually showcase you how you are going to analyze the logs which are coming to our appliance which we are going to place over there. That's a practice. That is not a one day job. That's a practice that once you are sitting with us or once you are mingling with us, you are going to understand it. So one thing is the reporting part of it. So reporting will be clear cut. So once you are talking about log, it will not be so easy to understand. That's the difference. So you need a skilled person over there to understand the logs.
Someone has also asked
Any other?
to do the use the free antivirus. Any specific link they can go on online and they can do it. What is it?
Again, I will ask Sushobanda to share the antivirus link also, either on WhatsApp or on mail, to share it with everyone. This is unlimited license, so you can take as much as possible from there. You can share it with your friends also or any other organization if you want. Uh, you can. So Sushobanda, you take the lead. Share both
Sure,
the
I'll do that.
advisories and
Besides, we have around
any other.
80 plus kind of audience here. So now is a open forum. Any one of you can unmute your microphone and shoot the query directly also. Ajay ji, you will have any queries? Uh,
Yeah, none as of now. But an
okay.
excellent presentation, Kanchan. I must
Ajay,
congratulate you. Excellent.
Yeah,
I said an
yeah.
excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Very
but
informative.
I have tried to utilize the time as much as possible because I have to finish it in a time people get bored also. So that's why I have opened up the question answer round at the end.
Yeah,
This is Sandeep Shah.
excellent.
Yes, Sandeep.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, do you have SIM tools also as a part of all your offering?
No. So let me clarify over here. So SIEM, as I said, SIEM is nothing but a log correlation, right? It is the log
Yes.
correlation of different assets. So what we are doing, we are actually adding a layer to that. We do not have a SIEM, but we can integrate our XDR with SIEM, as I have shown you in my presentation, to give them the more intelligence in terms of detection and remediation. So that is an add-on. It's not a SIEM. SIEM is a different solution. So we integrate with SIEM, as I've shown you, Splunk, Radar, QRadar, whatever you see, we can integrate
Okay.
with them. But it's not a SIEM solution. So it's a
Okay.
SOC solution, you can say.
And can it be integrated with OpenSIM like OSIM and other, which are the
If
open
it is
SIMs available?
if it is a syslog, we can integrate with anything.
Yeah, syslog would be available. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, we can integrate with anybody.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
anyone else? Mr. Sriram, you will be having any queries?
Yeah, I have a query, Mr. Shubhan. As said by Gen Micro, hello, my voice is clear?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hello?
It's getting echoed actually.
One second. Let me switch off the microphone.
Sure.
Is it clear now, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You said you will do some analysis in the network as a free of cost, right? Meaning, what are the
Yes,
changes and before Corona and after Corona, what are the changes done in the network?
right, right.
Irrespective of the product they installed, maybe the company has the Trend Micro or may have some other brands also.
Yeah,
So
I don't mind on that. So I will do a network health checkup irrespective of any technologies.
any technology. So we have to send a request so that you will do the analysis from remote or on premise. You will do this.
So there are two aspects. See, when I talk about network health checkup, in your network everything comes. Your infrastructure, your servers, your endpoints, your cloud, your email, everything comes, right? So whatever is possible from outside, like if you have a O365 which can be accessed from outside, I can do it from remote. But there are certain things like if you have an on-premise server, it is not actually recommended to do it from outside. It has to be done from inside. So there are certain things which we have to take care of. So usual practice is we have to come over there and do it. Sorry,
Hello, somebody is
sorry.
crossing. No, you
So
please proceed further.
you understood, right? The ideal procedure is to come over there and do the network health checkup at your own premise.
Okay, okay, got it, got it. So you will give the complete report about the entire infra, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. In terms of security.
Okay, fine.
Yes. Someone asked, how large is the agent's footprint size in terms of MB?
Sorry, how large is the?
Agent's footprint means agent's size in the once it is going to install in the local machine. What is its size
Mhm.
and how much CPU does the agent uses?
So again, this is a very tricky question. Let me tell you that if you are running a simple antivirus right now, because Trend Micro is having a single agent solution. So that means if today you are buying an antivirus agent and tomorrow you want to use that antivirus agent as an anti-APT agent can be used. If you want to use that as an application agent can be used. If you want to use as a DLP agent can be used. So once you are increasing this uh, these processes or these components, obviously the size of the agent is going to increase. Number one, the CPU usage and everything is totally depend on the configurations that we are going to do. Say, for example, you want to switch on the firewall, you do not have to want to switch on the firewall. You want to keep the IPS, HIPS on your machines, or you want to only segment few things. So based on these configurations, the size depends. But honestly speaking, if you keep if you keep the agent once, it is as similar as your Symantec or McAfee. It is not going to reduce much because one thing you have to be sure: either you want a security or you want a productivity, or you want the equilibrium of both. So we are trying to keep the productivity up at the same time we are trying to keep the security also up. The actual size, I'll come back to you because that is something which I cannot share right now, but I'll come back to you on that.
Kanchan, Sudipta, it's hello. Kanchan, am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, Kanchan, I have a small query. So regarding the XDR one, so can that XDR can be integrated with the other security solution from the other vendors? And is it EDR mandatory for the XDR?
Yes, good question. So, when you talk about XDR is nothing but it is actually the combination of your endpoint, that is EDR, not antivirus, EDR. You need to have a EDR as your basic thing. Number two, you need to have a sandbox which will be acting as a network sensor for the XDR to get the feeds. I'm talking about feeds. You need to have a proper email security along with sandboxing, which will be getting again another feed to the XDR. So XDR has to take the feeds from different vectors with the different technologies in place. So XDR is the last nail, in fact. Before that, you have to make your platform ready so that it will be a XDR ready platform. So once you have an EDR, the first and foremost thing is how you are integrating your EDR with your sandbox. Second thing is how your sandboxes in your endpoint, email, network, they are correlating the threat posture. The third thing is how your servers that will be having an EDR, because servers for EDR is also there. Now, if you have all this infra in place, then on top of that, the XDR will be taking all the feeds and it will be helping your SOC to work to get all the threat posture which I have shown you, and the hybrid cloud on the user protection and the network defense. The XDR is the last thing. It's like a recorder. It's like a recorder. It's like a simulator which shows you the threat from where it has come, how it has quarantined, which all things it has impacted, what was the root cause of that. Entire thing of the entire network is not only endpoint. Don't take it as an endpoint only. The entire vectors will story is actually you can see it from the XDR perspective. So for that you have to build the blocks one by one after the other.
Okay,
Is
so
that
you
answer
mean
your
to say
question,
that?
Sudipto?
Yes, yes, sir. Sir, I have a small question again. So
Yeah, yeah.
if I have a I have a cloud journey, and most of the cases in cloud we prefer the for the location we should have a local internet breakout. So now the entire thing moving towards the SD-WAN kind of architecture. So if you are talking about the network sensor which can sense the data traffic and feed that information to your box so that EDR can analyze and get the visibility of insights what other things are going on, and then it can correlate the product with others so that the external data can be correlated and information can be gathered. So in such
That's right.
cases, so cloud journey and the security, if I have to go for the EDR and XDR both solution, then it's really going to be a costly affair. So because I'm doing a internet traditional network is a centralized one. Centralized we provide the solution and the access to the end user or end location. For the cloud journey where the internet breakouts are there, definitely it's become a challenge for us to implement such kind of EDR and XDR solution. So how we can mitigate or how we can resolve that one?
So
Please.
usually, see, there are two things. If you do not have an endpoint in your remote areas, say for example, or you do not want to put EDR, you do not have an EDR, we have a cloud-based EDR also available. Okay, so the EDR is a cloud-based, so you can find the entire telemetry of the EDR in your antivirus server if it is on-prem or on cloud. So if it is on cloud, you will get the entire telemetry. So from there, if you get the telemetry, that particular server is going to work with your central management or the central console. So it will be taking the feed from there to the central console. Again, your network devices which are there, which are having a sandboxing inbuilt inside it, going to take the take the feed on the central console of Trend Micro. And from there, we are creating actually a data lake. It's called data lake. So entire data lake will be created, and that from that data lake, whenever required by XDR, whenever you want to do any forensics or any kind of threat analysis or threat hunting kind of stuff, you click on the XDR. XDR will show you that so and so endpoint in so and so branch was connected with the EDR on the cloud, where we have suspected that one particular agent was infected, and that has been thrown out of the network. But as a result of that, while throwing, it has also infected some of the agents or some of the servers inside your network. And these are the servers which he has already identified. Do you want to take an action, or you want XDR to take an action? So there will be lot and lot of alerts, lots and lots of tabs which you can actually visualize, and you can actually take action if you have a XDR environment. Well, coming back to your cost implications, yes, XDR is a service. So hence, it is not a product. It's going to be a service on cloud. And there you will have the entire OEM will be doing a proactive approach. So you need not have to go back to your vendor and analyze, tell me what happened to my this so and so endpoint. And if he gets certain kind of threats, and he will say, now give me the entire RCA, and it takes a long time. But if you have an XDR, it will be proactively coming to you on your mail or on your dashboard, which you can visualize. You no need to have to depend on any third party for that. No manual interventions are required. So that's the thing. But of course, there is a cost impact. Sudipto, does that answer your question?
There is
Yes, Kanchan, it is a fine one. We'll discuss later on that also.
Sure.
I have so many things for you.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a
But
lot.
it's a nice presentation.
there is
Anybody
one
else?
more query, Kanchan. Like it says, if your EDR can be integrated with other antiviruses.
Oh, fantastic question. This is one of the good question I like. Yes, EDR is a standalone solution. We have an endpoint sensor. If you have a separate antivirus also, the EDR can work of its own. The task of the EDR, as I said, is to do the surveillance for 24/7. And in that, if it finds any kind of anomalies, it will take action by its own. Wherever it will require any kind of help from the antivirus, it will share the signature manually to the antivirus. The only difference is here you will get a manual intervention where you will be getting a signature, any SHA value, and you have to put into your antivirus cloud and get the signature from there. This is the only thing. But EDR can work as a standalone. It is not depending on any antivirus as such. Our EDR can work standalone. Not only our, other EDRs can also work standalone.
Hi, this is Sandeep Shah. Can we replace our SOC with your XDR?
No, XDR is a tool which needs to be there in the SOC. It is
Okay,
not a
okay.
SOC. It is one of the tool that you have to use in your SOC. EDR
But
is a
then
tool
you are,
that you need. EDR is
you are
also a tool.
providing. I'm
Sorry?
talking about XDR. XDR you are providing as a services, right?
Correct.
So then why I should have my SOC actually?
Can I ask you one question? Do you have an SIEM?
Yes.
So if you have an SIEM, the second part is always XDR. You can use XDR as a tool for SIEM, and you can create a SOC which is an intelligent SOC or a next generation SOC. This is called a next generation SOC. In fact.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. People
Anybody
are
else?
asking so many
Any
questions.
any other queries? There are around 60 odd participants still left. Any other queries from anyone?
Very patient. Everyone is very patient, huh? Patiently hearing. Very good.
Yeah, because
Yes,
Devasek will be.
yeah.
Yeah.
My query is for the deployment of the product. So, what is you have different product portfolio. So,
Correct.
if as an organization, suppose I want to deploy the product, so what would be the roadmap? Which product needs to be taken first, then in the second phase, and then in the third phase? What would be the roadmap?
Fantastic. So to answer your questions, and this will help others also. Say for example, in my network, I have 4 vectors. One is email, one is endpoint, one is network, one is server. I'm taking 4 verticals. Now,
Okay.
usually what happens is in a network, everybody will be having a firewall kind of stuff or a UTM already. Okay. And on the endpoint, many people are already using some of the other antivirus. Now, my task to start the story of XDR is not to go and sell, boss, replace your antivirus. This is my antivirus. I will give you an EDR also. No, that we should not start. If already he is using certain products and he has invested, let us be there. Let us start our journey for, if you ask me personally, the first and foremost pain area is email. And you will see 99% of the customers do not know about the email security part of it. Number 1. Number 2, most of the customers are using endpoint security in their server zone, which is not recommended. I'm giving you an example. Say I have a server zone or I have a data center where I have a Unix platform or a Linux platform, an AIX platform or a Solaris platform, and I'm running, say for example, SAP over there. So what is the application level security I'm using? What is the OS level security I'm using? Whether I'm using any kind of virtual patching technology or not? These are the things which is unknown to most of the customers. I can start my play from the server zone again. Now, these are the 2 areas where you can start your discussion if the customer is already using something. And you can always tell about our EDR story in the second phase. Because as I said, XDR cannot be done all of a sudden. It should be a phase-wise approach. So the first phase should be always either an email and a server, or an email alone and then let's the server later, or if the customer is really unaware of EDR, you can always start your journey for the endpoint EDR. So these are the areas which you should start. Definitely, if you can show the ROI, the technology capability of the product later on with efficient configurations and deployment, I'm sure if you have a good story, XDR will happen maybe after 1 year, say for example. So this is how the story should be started. Is that answer your question?
Yes, yes. So suppose if I would like to replace the present endpoint, so the what would be the first phase?
You want to replace the endpoint.
Yes.
Start your discussion on ADR. See whether the present endpoint is giving an ADR story or not. And if at all they are giving, how better they can detect. Showcase the product portfolio of EDR for both the endpoints. Showcase them. See the capability. Take the performance. See the visibility. Show them the visibility. All these things are the comparisons, right, for a customer to start.
Okay, thank you.
Lot of questions. Good.
Anyone else?
Still 58.
Any queries from anyone else?
How Kajanda?
Yes.
How Kajanda?
Yes.
If some customer wanna go for a security or network audit, so what should be my approach
Come back to
from
me.
Tech Micro?
Come back to us. Mail me. I will guide you.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody is trying to ask. I'm not able to hear.
Yeah, right now, can you hear Dibujyoti?
Your voice is very thin.
Divyajyoti is very, very low, but still I can hear.
Okay. Now the thing is that I was just asking one question in today's scenario. This COVID-19 problems is there. So what are the threats or these things you are thinking that can happen to the customers? The maybe most of the things are closed. For threat management, I'm not only talking about the endpoints, but are the other threats also, or any ransomware you are expecting, or these things of any types of things is maybe there will be an attack or something. Since
Yes, you are right. The first and foremost thing is every one of us are facing is a COVID-19 mail. Most of us are getting mails from WHO. If you see our WHO or some other bodies talking about the best practices of COVID-19, the huge spam attacks which are happening across the globe, and many organizations are coming back to us. Number one, as an individual, also it is coming to my Gmail. I have seen it. The second thing is this is the right time to have more and more ransomware attacks. You have seen there are PowerShell attacks which are happening, like fileless attacks, which are happening in most of the organizations I have found. Because this is the time where technical supports are not there. The response time of any IT team or a security team will be lesser when he is working from outside. So the attackers have got the best opportunity right now, and we have seen many cases. Many clients are facing this attack at this point of time. Healthcare industry is facing a lot of issues related to ransomware, and they are coming back to us. So this is, I mean, in short, we have to be very much aware of the emails which are coming, and that is why I have said that we have started with a phishing campaign. If you are really bothered about this kind of attacks which are coming from mail, I will suggest you to share those phishing campaign to your customer, so that he at least he can save their employees, because employees are not tech savvy. They can click on any mails. So that practice has to be started right now. And as I said, people should start thinking about EDR as a service or EDR as a technology. They should have the plan in place for XDR once the situations are coming in normal. This is what is my takeaway, Devajyoti, for your question.
Anyone else? Any other queries? we are going to conclude around 5:30. Yeah, tell me.
So I have given my phone number and email ID over there. If anybody wants to come back to me, you can call me, you can WhatsApp me, you can reach out to me. Shushabanda is always reachable. You can also reach him. He will also coordinate with myself and give you a solution if required on my behalf. So I'm always available on Facebook, WhatsApp, social media, whatever you say. Just a call away.
Sure. Thank you. Anyone else? Any last query? Anything? Otherwise, we are to conclude. Okay. So I think there are not much queries now. If even afterwards, if you have any queries, you have our mail ID because you have registered through a proper channel. You can shoot us mail also. We'll get it coordinated. We'll get it connected with Kanchan also. That's not a problem. So thank you once again, Kanchan, for this wonderful session. Thank you, friend.
Thank you, Shushavanda, for organizing this. And people are, I've seen the people are very much interested to understand about cybersecurity. This is a very good sign, and I'm thankful to you to arrange all these things. Thanks a lot.
You're most welcome. Mr. Kumar, Mr. Singh, it is already there in the screen, the phone number. Otherwise, I have also mentioned our email ID also in the chat box. So you can get connected over with us. Thank you. Wonderful participation for the audience. Stay tuned for our mails. Tomorrow, day after, we are also having some interesting sessions on data security, management, and other things. So look forward for your active participation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kanchan, for the wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you everyone.